Now we'll see the implementation of shift reduce, a parser, that is parsing the given sentence id plus id into id by using the given set of production rules. Okay, now in this program we have got the main function. In the main function we are invoking and one more function, that is a check function here. Okay, check function. Okay, and this check function, okay, it is meant for showing an a reduce action of the shift reduce a parser. Reduce action of the shift reduce a parser, it is shown in the check function. And in the main function, where initially we are including some of the header files, stdio.h, string.h, and next we are initializing some of the variables and arrays, that is ac, stack, act arrays. Here a acts as an input buffer. AC, it is containing an string, that is a shift right arrow on. Sorry, now in the AC we have got a reduced to E string. E is just copied into this array. Next, and the stack, it is containing all the shifted symbols and the production symbols. And ACT, it is containing a string, that is shift right or on is copied into the act array, and after that we are declaring an a check function. Okay, now in the main function, just the first statement itself is what? It is a print function. We are putting this statement, the grammar is, this is the grammar we are working with a shift reduce a parser, that is displayed on the terminal. Next, again we are placing one more statement onto the screen, that is enter the input string, and in order to read the input string we are invoking an scanf function. The input is what? The string, that is id plus id into id is read into the array, that is a. Now a acts as an input buffer, and we are taking the length of the input string into the variable, that is c. Next, after this we are copying, see, we are copying an shift right arrow on this string. For this we are using a string copy, that's why we have included this header file, that is string.h. We are using string copy function in order to copy this string onto the act array. Next is we are displaying a statement, that is a stack followed with an tab space, followed with an input, followed with a tab space and an action. Just it is displayed onto the terminal. Next we have got the for loop. We have gotten a for loop in order to parse the given input string. In the for loop we have gotten if and else statement. In the if statement we are shifting an id onto the stack. We are shifting id onto the stack in the if statement. Then we are invoking, after shifting an id onto the stack, whether it can be reduced or not. Okay, that is, in order to perform reduction operation we are invoking an check function. Next, in the else part of the for loop we are shifting a symbol like a plus operator or asterisk operator or division operator onto the stack in the else statement. After shifting a symbol onto the stack, again we are invoking a check function here. Okay, if I take, that is it is initially, that is in the first iteration of the entire for loop. Okay, a of j is what? Initially 0, the first location of the array. The input buffer is containing I. We are checking whether it is containing an id or not in the first iteration of the for loop, because it needs to push. Okay, we need to show the shift operation of an shift reduce a parser. So we are checking in the first location it is containing an I. Next location, j plus 1th location of an array A is containing an D. If it is containing ID in the I in the first location, D in the second location, then that ID is pushed onto the stack. Those are the statements of the if, okay, a of j containing I is pushed onto the stack I is what initially 0, the first location of the stack, and next is what a of j plus 1, that is d is pushed onto the stack. Then the top location of the stack is terminated with a null character, it is assigned with a null character. Next, a of j, okay, because in the input buffer we need to have only the remaining input, I need not have an id in the input buffer. That is done by using the next statements, that is an empty character is pushed onto a of j and a of j plus 1. Okay, then after that we are printing what, the content of stack, content of a, content of act. What is the content of stack? It must be an id. And what is the content of a? Okay, it should contain plus id into id, because the first id, first token, is already shifted onto the stack stk here. And what is the content of act? Act is containing here, that is string copy of act comma shift right arrow, and that is the content of act, that is shift right arrow displayed onto the screen. Okay, what we have seen in the previous video, that is, see, this is the first row, that is the stack content is id, input is plus id into id, and the action is shift id. Okay, next, same thing, the shifting of symbol is shown in the else part. That is, next after that is, if it is containing a symbol, that is a of j, if it is pointing to the a plus operator in it, then that is shifted onto the stack. See here, after printing stk and act, it is invoking a check function. In the check function, you see the check function. Okay, in the check function, for each of the right part of the production, okay, we have written an condition in the if statement. Okay, it tries to match with the content of a stack with the right part of the production. The right part of the production is what, in the last production it is id, it is the stack content is matched with the id in the first for loop. Okay, and in the second for loop, you see, that is the right part of the production is what, e plus e. Okay, and the stack content is matching with the right part of the one more production. Okay, same thing in the third for loop again. Okay, it is the condition of the if is containing, in order to check the content of stack with the right part of one more production, that is e into e. And the last for loop again, it is and different production, that is e enclosed in a parenthesis, that is the stack. In order to match the content of a stack with the right part of any of the production, okay, we are using these for loops. Okay, now that is, now id is what it is on the stack, that is stack of z is equal to I. Okay, there that is the in the first for loop, that is, and before that we are invoking a string copy function, that is reduced to e is this string, entire string encoded in a double quote is copied onto the ac array. Then after that we have gotten a for loop. In the for loop we are checking a condition, the stack of z. What is stack of z is what, it is starting from 0 to c, that is stack of z is what it is 0, stack 0th location is whether it is equal to I. Yes, it is equal to I currently, and stack of z plus 1 is equal to d. Yes, it is equal to d. Okay, once this if condition becomes true, then it performs a reduction action. How it is shown, you see here. What is the next statement, that is e is pushed onto the 0th location of the stack. Next, the null character is assigned to the next location of the stack. Then we are printing the content of stack a and ac. What is the content of stack? Now it is e. Okay, e it is. Next, what is the content of a? As it is, because it is performing a reduction action. Next, what is the content of ac? That is reduced to e. Okay, that is the next row. See here, where it is we are showing an reduction action in the second row. id is reduced to e. This is the content of stk, and next is content of a and content of ac, that is reduced to e. Okay, then after this the first for loop executes. Then after this we have, that is we are incrementing an pointer, that is a variable, that is j plus plus. J is incremented by 1. Okay, next this if condition, okay, executes with respect to the current example. The first condition, first if condition executes. Next again the same thing is done with the second iteration of the for loop. Okay, it fails in all the subsequent iteration and it comes out of the first for loop. Okay, because now the stack of z is not equal to I, the next leap. Okay, so it comes out of the for loop. Again it tries to work with the next for loop. Again here it fails because the stack of z is equal to e. Fine, but stack of z plus 1 is currently is not equal to plus. So all the subsequent if conditions in each of the for loop fails, and it comes out of, finally it comes out of this check. Again the control is transferred to what, the if statement in the for loop of the main function. Okay, and that is the end of f, and it comes out of this the first iteration. It comes out of the first iteration. Again it takes the next iteration of the for loop. In the next iteration you see, okay, that is again it checks what is the content of, that is a of j is equal to I. Now it is not equal to I. Okay, and these k, I and j are incremented after the first iteration of the for loop. Now the j is pointing to the third location of a. Okay, now in the third location of the a we have got plus. Okay, now that is, so this if condition fails in the for loop. Okay, the else part will be executed because a of j, okay, the a of j is containing what it is, a plus. That plus is what it is pushed onto the stack. The shifting of symbol is shown in the else part, and then stack of I plus 1 is assigned with a null character, and in the array, that is in the input buffer, that is the plus symbol location, because the plus now it is in the stack. I need to take out the plus from the input buffer. So empty character is assigned to a of into the location that is pointed by j. Then again we are printing the content of stack a and act. Stack is containing e plus, okay, stack is containing e plus, and a is containing, okay, the remaining input, and act is containing what, a shift right arrow. Okay, again it invokes and check a function whether the shifted symbol or the content of the stack it can be reduced or not. Okay, how the reduction is performed, by matching with the right part of any of the production, that is shown in the check function. Okay, now the stack is containing e plus. Okay, just it is contained at the bottom of the stack we have got e, and on the top of the stack we have got e plus. It does not matches with any of these conditions, so it comes out of the check function. Again it takes the next iteration of the for loop, and it performs again shifting of id onto the stack. So if statement is executed, that is it shifts an id onto the stack, and this is carried out until the end of the input string, until the end of the input string. Okay, once, and it is going to stop parsing until the input buffer, in this case the a, becomes empty, and the stack is containing the start symbol, that is a. Once if that is the case, okay, it performs an accept action. Okay, this is the explanation of a shift reduce